WHIP. Call us at 215-204-9449.
Back here, WHIP, Philly's #1 college radio station, 215-204-9449 is the number if you want to call and hang with us. We'll go up to Atlanta right now, 7-9 to the Zones. John Michael, the Atlanta Falcons sideline reporter, joins us. John, Zach Gelb, Haley Condon, how are you?
Doing good. Thanks for having me on, guys.
Well, thank you for coming on. I know you're a big-time University of Miami fan. When are the Miami Hurricanes going to return to some dominance? They've been lacking as of late.
Well, you know, you guys both there. We're waiting on a couple of freshmen, actually about 21 of them, that he's playing this year to mature and get better. I had a question for you guys. The upset that we have down there is Mark D'Onofrio and the defensive scheme, something we haven't seen at Miami. A lot of soft zone, a lot of playing off the football, not a lot of attacking out of the front four. Is this something that we could look forward to getting better, as you guys had them up there in Temple? Is they going to improve for Miami? Because the athletes are definitely there. I just don't know that the scheme fits with what we're trying to run.
Al Golden, I think, is a phenomenal head coach. I thought he was the right hire for Miami. And I know Miami's been trying to get these New Jersey, Pennsylvania kind of guys for the last few years, as they tried to get Shiano a few years ago. But I believe Al Golden, he's the right guy for the job down there. The question is, the recruits that they bring in, are they going to live up to their potential? And that's what you're seeing. But one guy that is living up to his potential, that's been Duke Johnson, John. Do you ever think a guy named Duke would be dominated in Miami?
Oh, yeah. Duke is one of those kids that was born to be a Cane, and from the time that he signed, there was a lot of expectations that he would be a big-time playmaker. Now, he's went through a little bit of a mid-season lull. Part of it, he's been dealing with a foot injury for about the last 3 weeks, so you haven't seen the explosive plays that you saw in the first 3 or 4 weeks of the season for Miami. But this is definitely a kid that's got, all ACC, All-American type potential, as an all-around player, a kid that can return kicks, obviously return punts, fantastic in the running game. It's just going to take a little maturity, asking a freshman to come in and carry the load as he has a little bit too much, but Duke is absolutely the real deal. Watch for him in the next couple of years to make some big plays.
John Michaels is the host of Football Night in Atlanta, also the Atlanta Falcons sideline reporter for 790 The Zone. Eagles-Falcons this week over at the Link. Michael Vick, he was once the Atlanta Falcons quarterback. He left in an ugly way with everything that happened with the dog abuse scandal. You deal with some of the best callers in Atlanta. Are these fans over what happened with Michael Vick many years ago?
Oh, not at all. We still got a large contingency down in Atlanta that still wants Michael Vick as the quarterback over Matt Ryan, which, to me is
really?
A little bit ludicrous. Oh, absolutely. I get calls literally 2 to 3 every night that say, Mike Vick, we'd win a Super Bowl if he was the quarterback. And there's a lot of people that can't get over. As far as the dogfighting stuff goes, there's a small minority that still says, you know what, this guy should be in prison, he should be in jail. Most of those calls have been gone for the last couple of years. As far as the team itself goes, you got to remember, the Falcons only have 5 guys left on the team that even played with Mike Vick. To them, it's just another football game. It's a chance to go to 7-0 and bury a team that they realize could be a tough out in the playoffs if you allow Philadelphia to get some legs and really get things going. But the fans down there, no, they still love Mike Vick. You'll see a lot of 7 jerseys, even Eagles 7 jerseys in the crowd when the Falcons play.
Well, let's be real. I have a problem with your callers. How do you expect a quarterback to win a Super Bowl when all he does is turn over the ball? That's what we've seen this year with Michael Vick.
Yeah, they still look at the Mike Vick experience. They look at the commercials that they had. Now, let's be honest. There's a lot of great that came with Mike Vick. The excitement, the explosive plays, running the football, making the big passes. They tend not to look at the realistic expectations that he's a 13-turnover quarterback now, 6 games into an NFL season. He's a guy that's had 30 fumbles in his last 30 starts as an NFL quarterback. Those are just unacceptable numbers. It's not like the Eagles went to the playoffs a year ago. This was an 8-8 team that was supposedly, quote, the dream team. 2 years ago when they went to the playoffs, they lost in the opening round at home to the Green Bay Packers. I think part of it is, it has to do with Mike Vick and, again, the excitement, the running ability, and the fact that Matt Ryan has also failed the 3 times that he's been in the playoffs.
If the Eagles want to get a victory going up against Atlanta this week, they have to give the ball more to LeSean McCoy. And games that they've won, he's had over 20 carries. In games that they lost, his number has been in the teens. Actually, Eagles running back Dion Lewis will be coming our way on the show in just a few minutes. But you look at LeSean McCoy, how does he look up against this Atlanta Falcons team this week?
Well, they held him under 100 yards a year ago, did the Falcons. But the Falcons have had trouble. The one place on defense where they've had a ton of trouble is stopping the run this year, giving up over 148 yards a game on the ground, have the Falcons. You saw Willis McGahee on a Monday night game be able to gash this team for over 120 yards and a couple of scores on the ground. You saw, obviously, Alfred Morris have some success 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago up in Washington, running that little toss sweep in the delayed draw. And you saw Cam Newton, the Carolina Panthers, out of the shotgun, be able to run that spread option quite a bit with some success. Falcons do get a good key back this week. Corey Peters, one of their defensive tackles, who is probably their best run stopper, has been on the pup list the entire year with a foot injury. He's back. Looks like he will play. And they get Stephen Nicholas back, a linebacker who's missed the last couple of games with an ankle injury as well. If the Eagles want to win, though, that's the way to exploit them. Get in the shotgun and run that little delayed draw that Peyton Manning does, that obviously Carolina did and Washington did. And I think LeSean McCoy can have some kind of success.
Former Eagle Asante Samuel will get his first crack at his old team, the Philadelphia Eagles. You heard Asante this whole week. He's very loquacious with talking about what happened with his departure from Philadelphia. Is he playing with a little bit of an extra edge this week?
Absolutely. We can say down here in Atlanta, thank you. Thank you for sending us a guy that has a personality that's different really than anybody on the Atlanta Falcons. Falcons, we joke, they run it what's called the Falcon way. You're going to fit in this box. You're going to say sort of what the organization wants you to say. Asante's not that way. He doesn't care. He just says whatever the heck comes to his mind, and we love it. It's a quote a minute with Asante Samuel. He's definitely got a chip on his shoulder. Remember, Andy Reid and the organization in Philadelphia said something along the lines of, this guy's lost a step. He was traded for a seventh-round pick. Most seventh-rounders end up bagging groceries or doing something else 2 years after they're drafted into the NFL. He saw that as sort of a slap on the face. And I don't know if you heard the quote yesterday. They asked him down here, how many times did he pick off Mike Vick in practice? He said, too many to count. I pick him off all the time. That's what I do in practice. He's going to come out and try to make a statement. I just hope it's not trying to jump a and go, and the next thing you know, Deshaun Jackson's 10 yards behind him.
That's typical Asante Samuel. I'm a Patriot fan, so I know all about Asante, and then that's a big reason why he left New England was because Belichick does everything the Patriots way. They wouldn't pay him his money, so he said, I'm going to go take the money and go to Philadelphia. So Asante's definitely a character.
Yeah, he's that, and you know what? If that's the bad that comes with Asante, so
he's worth it.
I'll take the good. The pick six that he had before the bye week against the Raiders really won the game in a game that Atlanta played very lethargic. He's the playmaker that Atlanta's been lacking on defense for a long time. He's helped elevate the play of both of their safeties, and Thomas Deku and William Moore, two guys that are playing at a Pro Bowl level through the first 6 weeks of the season. Dante Robinson, who some down here saw as a bust a couple of years ago, is playing at an elite level right now in the run game and covering the pass. And I think a lot of that has to do with Asante Samuel and the attitude that he's brought to this team.
We're talking to John Michaels. And, John, two more questions right before we let you go. This Atlanta Falcons offense, they're very prolific this year. Matt Ryan, Roddy White, Julio Jones. How do you think they will fare going up against this Eagles secondary with Dominique Rodgers-Cromartie and Asamoah?
It's definitely going to be a challenge. It's probably the best secondary the Falcons have faced so far. But one of the things we've seen out of Atlanta this year is the ability to adjust. Teams have, the last few weeks, decided to take away the deep ball because Julio Jones was able to get in behind coverage. And it'll be interesting now to watch. Can Asamoah and Rodgers-Cromartie stay in a man coverage without getting safety help, or do the Eagles have to leave safety help over the top, which most of the teams have done? If they do so, look for Tony Gonzalez in the middle of the field, who just continues to have great games week in and week out, and he's playing at a Pro Bowl caliber again in what seems like the 20th year in a row. If they have to give help over the top, which I think they will for a little bit of the game, Matt Ryan will find different ways to exploit. And one of the things Dirk Cutter's done differently than the previous coordinator and Mike Mularkey is run a lot of crossing routes with these receivers and try to get them in mismatches with linebackers having to chase. I think Matt will be able to have a big game, but a lot of that's going to depend. Can we block Trent Cole, and can we block Jason Babin, two guys who were terrors last year on the Sunday night game?
Is this the year Matt Ryan finally takes his team to the next level and they win a playoff game?
That's the million-dollar question down here, and we all think so. Matt has played the best, at least for the first 6 weeks that he's played in his entire career, and that's saying a lot. He's had an upward arc on his career from year 1 through year 4. The only thing missing right now is winning in the playoffs. And I think this team, with the weapons they've put around him, and you talked Julio and you talked Roddy, you talked about Tony Gonzalez, Michael Turner's still back there as an every down back when they need him, and a defense now that's very opportunistic with 17 takeaways so far through the first 6 games. I think this is the year that Matt can do it. But again, nothing will be judged for this football team until January, and depending on who they play in the playoffs, that's the only time that the judgment can be made.
John, here comes the real $1 million question. When you come to Philadelphia this week, by the way, have you ever been to Philadelphia?
I have once. I had friends that lived in South Jersey. They brought me over to Philly one time.
Where do you get your cheesesteak from?
I'm a Geno's guy.
Ugh, you're killing me.
Now,
You got to go to Mama's and off the main line in Bella Kinwood. You have to go to Mama's. It's the best cheesesteak you ever have.
Okay, so I'll try Mama's. Here's what I did last time, and I was a little bit fatter then. Not that I'm actually in the greatest shape
You
now.
look great. I see you on Twitter and everything. You're fine.
The last time I came to Philly, I decided I was going to do Geno's and Pat, so I walked away with 2 footlongs, and I felt better about myself the next day. But Mama's, I'll take that advice. We'll be there Saturday evening. I'll go ahead and slide over there and grab a cheesesteak from there.
Well, they're not open on Sunday, so make sure you get there on Saturday. That's how good of a cheesesteak they have. They don't even need to be open on a Sunday.
That's fantastic. That tells you you're a great restaurant.
John, thanks so much for the time. I appreciate it.
No problem. Thanks, guys.